Imagine waking up one day to find your savings slashed in half, gas prices skyrocketing, and everyday groceries becoming a luxury. Sounds like a nightmare? Well, it's a potential reality brewing right now, not from a visible battlefield, but from a silent economic war. Welcome to Dollar in Danger, BRICS Silent War Against America. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear might just shock you into rethinking everything you know about global power. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is BRICS? It's not a stack of building materials, it's a powerhouse alliance of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Formed back in 2009, this group represents over 40% of the world's population and a massive chunk of global GDP. But here's the kicker. They've recently expanded, adding heavyweights like Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. Together, they're not just chatting over coffee, they're reshaping the world economy. Fast forward to the 2025 BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Leaders from these nations gathered, and boy, did they drop some bombshells. No tanks or missiles involved. This is a war of currencies and trade deals. The hot topic? De-dollarization. That's fancy talk for ditching the US dollar as the king of global trade. Why? Because for decades, the dollar has been the go-to currency for everything, from oil sales to international loans. It gives America incredible power. We can print money, sanction enemies, and basically call the shots. But BRICS is saying, not anymore. Picture this. At the summit, Russian President Putin and Chinese President Xi pushed hard for trading in their own currencies. Rubles, yuan, rupees, instead of dollars. They're creating new payment systems that bypass the US-controlled SWIFT network. And get this, they're even floating the idea of a brand new BRICS currency. Not some crypto fad, but a real contender backed by gold and other assets. Shocking, right? If this happens, it could shatter the dollar's dominance faster than you can say economic meltdown. But why now? Let's dive into the shocks. First off, BRICS's combined economy is already surpassing the G7. That's the US, Canada, UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Japan. China alone is buying up gold like it's going out of style, stockpiling reserves to back their moves. Russia, they've been hit with sanctions left and right, so they're leading the charge to trade oil and gas in non-dollar currencies. India and Brazil are jumping on board, settling deals in rupees and reals. Here's a jaw-dropper. In 2023, over 90% of global oil was traded in dollars. Fast forward to today, and BRICS nations are slashing that number. Saudi Arabia, yes, the oil giant, is now open to selling crude in yuan. If the petrodollar crumbles, America's ability to fund its massive debt could evaporate. We're talking trillions in treasury bonds held by these countries. If they dump them, interest rates spike, inflation roars, and your 401k takes a nosedive. Even US President Trump saw this coming. Back in his campaigns, he warned that BRICS is out to degenerate the dollar, threatening tariffs and consequences for any nation joining the de-dollarization push. And now, in 2025, those threats have become reality with new tariffs imposed on countries aligning with BRICS's anti-American policies, including an additional 10% tariff on nations supporting de-dollarization efforts. But guess what? Instead of deterring them, these tariffs are backfiring spectacularly. They're forging an unlikely unity among BRICS members and pushing more countries to join the alliance. For instance, by targeting founding members like India, Brazil, and South Africa with trade barriers, the US has only strengthened their resolve to deepen ties within BRICS. Countries like Indonesia have accelerated their full membership in 2025, while Vietnam has joined as a partner nation, seeing BRICS as a hedge against escalating US trade wars. This tariff offensive is essentially building blocks for BRICS expansion, driving emerging economies away from US influence and towards a multipolar economic order. The summit ignored those threats and doubled down, discussing ways to make gold a key player in their new system, a neutral asset that can't be printed endlessly like fiat money. This isn't just talk. BRICS trade among members has exploded by 50% in the last few years, mostly without dollars. Now, let's get real about what this means for you, the average American. If the dollar loses its reserve status, importing goods gets pricier. That iPhone, double the cost. Your morning coffee, forget affordability. The US has enjoyed cheap borrowing because everyone wants dollars. Lose that, and we're looking at a recession on steroids. Experts warn this could undermine the entire US economy, from Wall Street to Main Street. But it's not all doom and gloom. Or is it? BRICS argues this creates a fairer, multipolar world, free from US imperialism. They point to sanctions on Russia and Iran as proof the dollar is weaponized. Fair point, maybe. But for America, this silent war could erode our global influence overnight. So what's next? The 2025 summit projections show BRICS pushing even harder, with more countries lining up to join. US tariffs might backfire, strengthening their resolve. As an investor, think gold. It's surging as a hedge against this chaos. In closing, the dollar's throne is wobbling, and BRICS is the earthquake shaking it. This isn't a distant threat. It's happening now. Stay informed, diversify your assets, and question the status quo. Because if history teaches us anything, empires rise and fall, and America's financial empire might be next.